Welcome to the Quantum Human Podcast, where we discuss everything related to being a human on the path of empowerment. In this series, we will explore the content of my first book, Quantum Being, in a fun and conversational way. If you like what you hear, grab a copy of my book from an Amazon site near you. Its title is Quantum Being by Hisham Atala.
You're on a journey, aren't you? I mean, really seeking to understand yourself, find that best version of who you are. Welcome to the deep dive. We look at ideas that, well, hopefully light up that path.
And today, it's not about looking out there.
No, exactly. We're turning inward, taking let's say, a unique kind of trip to the core of what you believe makes you.
Yeah, and it's less about adding new layers, isn't it? It's more an invitation, a gentle prompt to maybe question the ground you're standing on.
Right.
To look curiously at the very essence of your I.
Totally. Life just rushes by, and, we have this kind of default setting for ourselves, the story we run on, and we rarely pause to think, where did that come from? Our source material for today really nailed this. How often do we actually stop and ask, okay, when I use that word I, what am I really pointing to?
And that question, simple as it sounds, can honestly be the start of something huge, a real shift. The text really pushes us on this. It throws out these thoughts that feel almost too basic. Like, is that just one solid thing? Or maybe it's like a collection of moments, feelings that change.
That's a big one.
Are you the same you when you're flying high versus when you're, feeling really down? And what's the thread? What actually connects the you right now to that 10-year-old kid in the photos?
It's wild when you think about it like that. Because you do see an old photo.
Instantly.
Yeah, instant recognition. Even if you look totally different now, maybe less hair, more wrinkles, whatever, you just know, that's me. The text uses that exact image.
It does. And that quick recognition really shows how much we tie our sense of self to this physical body, doesn't it?
For sure.
But then you also have to consider how life itself has, molded you. Your experiences, the ups and downs, they've absolutely changed how you see things, right? Your place in the world feels different.
Oh, definitely. The world I thought I lived in as a kid.
Yeah.
Completely different priorities, different worries.
See. And yet, despite all those shifts, physical, experiential, most of us kind of cling to this notion of an inner core, something solid and unchanging deep down.
The central me.
Yeah, and that me gets really tangled up with our body and the story we tell about our life.
So the big question then, especially for you listening, someone seeking that deeper truth, is it just this body, this age, this collection of memories? Do your boundaries really stop where you think they do?
That's the core question. The text suggests we often live within what it calls a narrow band of recognition.
Okay.
Meaning we only really acknowledge the bits of ourselves we already know, while huge parts of our potential self remain sort of unseen, unexplored territory.
Which brings us to this really interesting idea in the text, the difference between the recognizable self and the true self. Can you unpack that a bit?
Sure. Think of it maybe like this. Your recognizable self is the you you're consciously aware of right now. Your personality traits, your job, your memories, what you see in the mirror.
The familiar stuff.
Exactly. The true self, as the text frames it, includes all of that, but it's also bigger. It encompasses the potential, the depths, the aspects that are currently outside your everyday awareness.
So the recognizable self isn't wrong. It's just incomplete.
Precisely. It's a part of the true self, maybe even a somewhat limiting part, but it's not the whole story of who you are or who you could be.
Okay. So for anyone on this journey wanting to find their best self, the first step is really getting to know this recognizable self. Like, that's our starting point.
That's definitely where we have to begin. It's our current landmark, the known ground.
Gotcha.
But then the text gently pushes us a bit further. It asks us to look at the foundations of that recognizable self. It points out that our whole reality, especially about ourselves, is often built on these facts we've just accepted without really truly questioning them.
And it gives that example, like saying, I am a man. Or for anyone listening, it could be, I am a woman, I am a profession, I am a personality type.
Yeah.
Any core identifier.
Right, any fundamental label. And the text looks at the physical side of that biology. appearance, things that even says, a machine could recognize these days.
Which just underlines how tied we are to the physical body.
Yeah.
It's how we experience everything, right? Sleeping, waking, feeling, connecting.
It's our constant companion.
Yeah.
So naturally, it becomes a huge anchor for our sense of me.
But, and here's the kicker from the text. While we experience ourselves as this continuous thing, aging over time in this body, the text hints that maybe on a deeper level, that's not quite the whole truth. That feeling of continuity, strong as it is, might be more of a perception than a fundamental reality.
That's it right there. That gap, the space between how you currently see yourself, this seemingly solid, continuous person, and this other possibility, this deeper, maybe more fluid, more boundless reality. That's the territory we're invited to explore.
Okay.
It's the difference between who you think you are and the vastness of who you might truly be.
So, okay, someone listening, someone really invested in their spiritual growth, wanting to be their best self. They might be thinking, why dig all this up? It sounds unsettling.
It's a fair question.
What's the real point of trying to bridge that gap you mentioned?
Well, the text gives a pretty compelling answer, I think, especially for seekers. It suggests that staying only in that familiar zone, the recognizable self.
A comfort zone.
Yeah, exactly. As comfy as it feels, it can actually end up holding us back. It can limit our evolution, our expansion.
And it talks about energy stagnation.
Yeah.
That really jumped out at me.
Me too.
The idea that we're naturally meant to expand, learn, grow, and when our limited ideas about ourselves block that flow, things get stuck.
Perfectly put. We inadvertently stifle our own potential by clinging too tightly to old definitions of who we are, definitions that might be outdated or just plain unhelpful for the person we're becoming.
Holding on to those antiquated ideas about the self, as the text calls them.
Yes, ideas that just don't serve the vibrant, evolving being you actually are right now. All of this feels so ancient in a way.
Yeah.
It makes me think of that famous inscription, "Know thyself," from Delphi.
Absolutely. It's a timeless quest. And the text brings that up too, asking a really key question about it. Is the self that ancient wisdom tells us to know, is it the same everyday recognizable self we already think we know?
And given everything we've just discussed.
The strong implication is probably not.
Right. It just shows how long humans have been wrestling with this stuff. Who am I? Really?
Across cultures, through history. It's fundamental.
Yeah.
And then the text offers this idea that sounds like a paradox at first, but it's actually, I think, incredibly freeing.
Right.
To truly know yourself, you might need to sort of forget the self you currently know, or at least loosen your grip on it.
Whoa. Okay. That sounds hard.
It does, and the text acknowledges that. Letting go of that core identification, even for a moment, can feel really threatening, like you're erasing yourself. The text even uses the phrase death sentence.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But it reassures us it's the exact opposite. It's not death. It's an opening, a doorway to something more real, more authentic.
So wrapping this up then, for you, our listener, on this maybe sometimes challenging spiritual path, the main takeaway here seems to be,
it's that the journey to your most authentic self, your best self, it really kicks off with the courage to question. To gently question who you think you are right now.
Embracing that little bit of uncertainty, maybe. Turning that kind, curious look inwards, even at the things you've always just assumed were true about yourself.
The questions we touched on today, they aren't about getting quick, easy answers. Not at all.
Yeah.
They're meant to just light that little spark, that inner reflection.
In this initial questioning, this kind of gentle disturbance under the surface.
Yeah.
It's just the start, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's step one on a much longer, very personal journey of discovery, of expansion.
So as you continue on your way, maybe just consider this. What's one thing about yourself, your identity, a core belief about who you are that you've always just taken for granted? Just one thing.
Yeah.
But what might? What could open up for you if you just gently, kindly question that one assumption? Just sit with that for a bit, see what comes up. Maybe that little question is the key to your next step on this incredible path to really, truly knowing yourself.